my bad. I just realized that you couldn't even hear me. And that's probably what Stevie Steve was telling me right now. He said no sound. My bad, Stevie Steve. My bad. I just realized that you couldn't even hear me. So, let me repeat myself real quick. I'm sorry. I'm a little excited. So it said, and this is the confidence that we have in him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he will hear us. So Lord, can we talk for a moment? There's some things we need to discuss today. So can we talk just for a moment? You said according to your will, if I ask in your name.
Go back to the beginning. I can't control what tomorrow will bring, but I know here in the middle is the place where you promised to be. I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? As I walk now through the valley, let your love rise above every fear. Like the sun shaping the shadow. Oh, my weakness, in my weakness, your glory appears. Come on, say, I'm not enough unless you come. Unless you come, will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? I'm not enough. Try it with us. Sing it out. I'm not enough, Jesus, unless you come. Meet me here again. on, try it with us. Say, I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? I'm not enough unless you come. Meet me here, meet me here. 'Cause all I want, come on, is all you are. Will you meet me here again? Turn around, sing it with us. Meet me here again. Will you meet me here again? Jesus, please, will you meet me here again? Meet us here, Jesus. Meet us here, Jesus.
Yes, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Wake Bacon Coffee Morning Show. I am your host, Georgia First Black Governor, along with the beautiful, lovely, wonderful, God-fearing Mama Quita. We got a special show for y'all today in the Mama Quita Love Series. Y'all been seeing it all week. Y'all been hearing about it all week. We've been talking about it all week. All last week, all this week. Well, now, the queen is here. We are here with both queens are in the building this morning. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Wake Bacon Coffee Morning Show. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, Periscope. Good morning, YouTube. What you looking for? Good morning, Facebook, Periscope, Facebook groups, YouTube, everybody that's in. Good morning, Miss Shamika. How are you doing this morning? Good morning, Stevie Steve. I see you, Big Juice. Good morning, Miss Graham. I promise you, this is a show that you need to share and invite, and share. Invite and then share. I promise you, you do not want to miss this conversation at all. Good morning, Terrence. How are you this morning? So, I'm usually prepped and usually ready to go. I think, Miss Shamika, I'm just as nervous. And it's not even my show. It's not even. Okay. It's not even my show, but I'm grateful and thankful for you being here today. It is an honor and a pleasure to have you. So if y'all don't see me looking in the camera, I'm looking at Miss Shamika. So everybody say good morning to Miss Shamika. And Steve, I agree with you. I pray that there's no technical issues on the show today as well. Well, it's a woman's show today, so I'm here to support, most definitely, always. Thank you. So everybody say good morning. Good morning. I see people piling in on YouTube. I see them coming in. I could barely see what's going on Facebook. But I do thank y'all for tuning in and rocking out with us. So, without further ado, let's introduce another woman. Oh, man. God's for Us. Your scripture for the day comes from God's for Us. Guys for Us. You can follow Guys for Us on Facebook at Guys for Us. You can also follow them at guysforus.com. Your scripture for the day from God's For Us comes out of Isaiah 41:13. I'm pretty sure she didn't know how this went hand in hand with the show today. But thank you, Mama. And that is, for the Lord thy God will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, fear not, I will help you. For the Lord thy God will hold your right hand, whatever you're going through. Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Shamika probably can't see, but they're saying good morning to you, Miss Shamika, on YouTube and Facebook.
Good morning, everybody.
So for God will hold your right hand. Whatever you're going through, whatever you're walking through, whatever you're experiencing, fear not, because he will help you. He will hold your right hand. He will keep you up. He will keep you focused. So you have nothing to fear when God is near. See, I should have helped write the Bible.
Negative. Negative.
That was funny.
No, negative.
I got jokes. See, I told you, Miss Shamika, I was gonna try to liven it up before y'all dove real deep off into it today.
Good morning.
Hi, First Lady.
Good morning.
Hi, everybody. Oh, I am super excited. Okay, what?
You super excited?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So I have a question for you and Miss Shamika. Should we just do this like a regular show, or should I just back on out and let y'all have y'all thing right now, and then when we drop to the bottom of the hour, we can just take a commercial break? Or do y'all want to go ahead and run that break now, give y'all time to, woo-sigh and calculate your thoughts? And you can't never hear Mama Quita. Don't be like that.
Hey, Juice. Hey, Steve. Hey, everybody. Good morning. I'm sorry, but we gonna get it together.
No, they don't never hear you when you on here. It's just not.
When you asking a question, I'm just saying.
I'm waiting on an answer.
Oh, Miss Booker, you ready? You want to let him do a commercial?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, cool beans. Well, let's hit it.
Dun, 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 dun. Well, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, New York Times bestseller, Amazon's top seller. I'm just gonna speak that into. Can I just speak that into existence?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Please do.
Right. New York Times bestseller, Amazon bestseller, and if you don't have the book, you missing out. But today's your lucky day, because as for the last 2 weeks, the link for the book is in the description box. So click on the link, go get you a copy. And like I told y'all last week, you should have got you a copy. Oh, Sean forgot about me. So you can know and be in depth. I can tell you, I read this and I was captivated from the time I read it to the time I got to the end. I was drawn in. I was sucked in by it. Between the adoption agency, they made me mad, but outside of that,
don't tell the book.
But outside of it, I'm not giving her my mic. She need to learn how to speak in her own mic, Steve.
Y'all about to get Gov in trouble. He about to keep moving.
So, the book is on sale today at Amazon. Please go get your copy. And also take heed. There's some great information you're going to get from today. So without further ado, New York Times bestseller, Miss Shamika Booker, and the wonderful Mama Quita.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay.
I am really happy to do this today. We've been building up to it, but I just really feel like this is a conversation that is definitely needed. So just having an opportunity to do this with you today is a blessing. So I say thank you for coming on and discussing this with us. How are you this morning?
I'm well.
Good.
Nervous, but well.
Don't be nervous. We are. It's gonna flow. We've already talked. I tried to make you
Yes.
feel a little comfortable with me. So
Yes.
it's gonna flow. This is the book, everybody. It's called Ocean Forgot About Me by Miss Shamika Booker. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't do it close enough. And you can find it on Amazon. We have dropped the link in the description. Okay, so Miss Shamika, you want to give us a little bit about you before we get into the book, if you don't mind?
Okay. Well, I'm 47. I have to get used to saying that because I recently had a birthday and
Happy belated.
thank you. So I have to remember how old I am now. So I'm a wedding planner. That is my passion. I have a regular 9 to 5 job, but wedding planning, weddings and events. So I've been doing that for about 18 years and I love doing that. I am divorced. I'm a Brooklyn native, but I reside in Jersey now. And I have an adorable little Shih Tzu who is spoiled, and she's looking at me right now like, you're talking to somebody that's not me. But so she has an attitude right now. But the way that I ended up writing the book was because for over 30 years, I've been trying to become a mother. The first time was not a try. It was something that happened, but when that failed, it was like, okay, you get up and you keep on. But then after 30 years, you're still, you've gone through a lot and you're actually trying and it's not happening no matter what you do. And then it just becomes it drives you, and to the point where it was stagnating me. Like I literally was finding it hard to breathe. So I had to do something to get rid of the pain. And so I started to write, and then I realized that there has to be other people going through this as well. And I didn't want anybody else to feel that amount of pain. So
Understood. Okay, well, getting into your book, it starts off, as I was reading, the first thing that came to my mind, caught my attention when I was reading, is our badge of honor, the strong black woman. Not allowed to, with that title, you're saying we're not allowed to heal. We're not allowed to, and I said not allowed to be vulnerable. And that's because as a black woman in the black community, that's how we're portrayed, as the strong black woman. And usually when you have a miscarriage, it's like, oh, okay, well, we'll just try again. And with that, it doesn't matter if it's a miscarriage. It doesn't matter what type of trauma. It doesn't matter what we're going through. It's like, okay, it happened. Get over it. Get up and keep moving.
yes.
You want to speak to
And
that?
I've done that. And I've done that. Like when you read the book, you see that I literally got up the next morning, got dressed. And I remember, I vividly remember getting up and I put on a pair of, at the time I was a size 3. And I put on a pair of size 3 jeans and they were tight as I don't know what. And I just put them on and went on about my day. And somebody asked me later on, they were like, that's not hurting your stomach. The baby's okay? And I was like, I lost the baby last night. And it was just like so blatant. They were like, really? And I was like, yeah. And it was just, I just went on. I just glazed over it.
And that goes with our title. We don't ever get a moment to stop, to just think about and let what actually happened marinate into how it's affected us, or if it's even affected us. we don't give it a chance to affect us. We just keep
Right.
moving, bury it in the back of our head, act like it never happened, and keep moving. And they say, you got to be the strong black woman. You're the strongest black woman I know. How did you? And we just keep moving. Never stopping to even take a breath.
Right.
Okay. I love the acknowledgments that you put in here. My favorite is your dedication. It says, this book is dedicated to my 9 angels. Mommy loves you, and you are always in my heart, though never in my arms. That had to be, I don't know, was that hard for you, or was that a let go experience when you wrote that?
That was amazingly hard. Because if you see, I actually, as I was writing it, I had to contact my first husband and say, we never named them. We need to name them. I felt like I was doing them a disservice by not ever naming them. So we sat down and we did it over the phone. And that was so hard because I had to remember how old they would be. And it was like, okay, I had to remember my mentality at the time too, because that would have taken a lot in what I would have named them. And, so I had to place myself in those various mind frames, and I had to place myself in who was important in our lives at that time and what we would have done. So one of them, we would have given, his father's middle name, and his father has already passed on. So it was a lot of emotion that went into sitting down and actually naming them. And I thought this was better because at one point I was thinking about getting, because I have a couple of tattoos, and at one point I was thinking about getting a tattoo done in honor of them. And I was like, there's no way I'm putting 9 names on me. I had to think about it, and I felt like dedicating the book to them was the right thing to do.
Got it. So going into bloodletting my soul, you compare yourself to a boxer getting back up without healing from the first fight.
Yeah. Because if you think about how closely, when you read it, you have to think about how closely all of those pregnancies rolled into each other. And even when I took the time to not get pregnant and not, and just, I wasn't allowing myself to grieve them. So it's like having internal injuries or something and just still going, and that's all I did. I just kept going.
Understood. Now here on, it goes on, I've noted, adjectives allow us to hide behind the mask of smiles while crumbling inside. And that's literally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and eventually. All of those things. Adjectives allow us to hide behind the mask of smiles while crumbling inside. That says a lot. Every day, people are going through things. Every day, people are in pain, especially after this pandemic. But we've been taught to put a smile on and keep moving. You've wrote beautiful, strong, resilient, and intelligent. Let me go back. wrote, "They say I'm hopeless as a penny with a hole in it. I love that lyric and identify with it more often than not. Spare me the plethora of adjectives that describe me. Beautiful, strong, resilient, and intelligent, and the list goes on. Thank you for seeing that in me. But when I look in the mirror, who is the woman I see?" And that's where I notated adjectives allow us to hide behind the mask of smiles while crumbling inside. Because people only see the outside, they don't see what's going on the inside. And people will say, "Well, how are you?" But most of the time, they don't even stop to get the
A
answer.
response. They don't. They don't. Nobody really wants to hear the answer to that question, because then they have to actually respond to you.
You are absolutely correct.
But I do have a question. Why do you think people don't want to answer that question?
Because what can they really do? Most people are not equipped to fully empathize with someone. And most people are used to dealing with their own. We humans are selfish. Okay? Selfish. Like, so I'm not going to borrow someone else's trouble.
Yep.
You know, so I'll ask you how you doing as a greeting. But you know how few people actually say to someone, "How are you really?" and wait for a response.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely correct. Now, getting into the word infertility, how do we, it's become such a word of taboo in our community. And while I was doing the, I left my stats upstairs. I'll get them when I come back from break. But it's interesting, the stats between our African American community and our Caucasian, Asian, and Latino communities. But if I remember correctly, along with us is the Latinos, we are the most fertile people. So therefore, infertility has become a taboo. And when it happens, we just kind of shove it under the rug.
Right, because it's considered that happens to white people. Or that happens to the assumption that I've met a lot of times is that, oh, you were so focused on your career that you didn't think about having a child. Or why did you wait so late to decide to have a child? Or why, not knowing someone's history, people make all types of assumptions.
Yep.
You know, people make those assumptions, or, you know, and it's not just me. You know, I'm not the only person who's experienced that. You know, it's a foregone conclusion that we as black people in general, men and women, are the most fertile, and we are popping out babies right, left, backwards, and forwards. You know, that's the assumption. You know, when you look at some of these non-black groups, and you read the stereotypes that they sit there and generate over and over and over, it's just that we are out there having multiple babies by multiple fathers, by, you know, and the men are impregnating every woman that they run around with, you know. So it's just this foregone conclusion that, yeah, you're popping them out right, left, forward, and backwards. So if you don't, it's either, you know, you've been stereotyped, you know, you've just so driven that you never thought to having children. And now, especially at 47, most people my age are now having grandchildren. You know, and so it's like, oh, you waited till now? You know, it's like, it's not my choice, but you don't meet someone and want to give them your whole history in the first conversation as to why you don't have children. You
And then
know,
that would kind of make them, it kills the stereotype, but then at the same time, it's your first time meeting them, and it's like, you just dropped this heavy load on me. I don't even know if I want to, okay. So I get it. I get it.
right.
You say with miscarriages, you deal with the stages of grief as you would with any loss. You actually would. I don't think people understand because of how society has made a miscarriage look. You know, they say, oh, it's not a baby until it hits a certain stage, or it's not a baby because it's not born, or all of these things. But I don't care what society says. From the moment of conception, it's a baby. It's a life. So therefore, when you find out that you have life living in you, and that's something that you wanted, and even for people who say they didn't want it, when you find out you have life in you and you find out it's no longer there, you're going to go through some kind of emotional attachment and detachment. So you're going to grieve.
Right. And that's the thing. And some were late term. You know, at one point I was actually 7 months and actually had to give birth. You know, so it's people don't understand that, because it's like, well, you never actually held the baby. You never actually did this. You never actually did that. And that's one thing that I will say, and within the past 10 years or so, no, within the past 15 years, they've actually done away with that. They are now dressing the babies and giving them to the parent to hold and to name and to decide if they want to actually bury them, or, you know, things of that nature.
I have a family member who actually carried full term. She had to have the baby. She held them, dressed them. They got to name them, spend time with him, and then had to go through the process of burying him. So I get it.
Yeah.
I get
And I
it.
think that's helpful, you know, because it's something that's needed. You need to have that closure. So,
Good morning, Miss Edge. Um, so we go into miscarriages and postpartum. I think there's a misconception also where people don't realize, and we talked about this earlier, your body doesn't know that the baby's not here. Your body still goes through the process of pregnancy, having the baby, and your hormones still do what it's supposed to do. Nothing changes except for on the physical side, the baby's not here. So not only are you dealing with having the miscarriage, now you're dealing with the hormonal issues, you're dealing with the emotional issues of postpartum, and that's not even acknowledged.
right. Because it takes a couple of weeks for your body to actually regulate your hormones again. And realize, okay, there's no baby. We're not doing this anymore. We have to switch back to this. But your body, it takes time to catch up to it. And like I said, I don't want to jump ahead of what you may have on the table, but there's no support system. There's no post miscarriage care. You know, we haven't designated a system because we don't acknowledge it.
And if you think about it, for even mothers who do have the babies and how long they're in postpartum, and how some of them, it takes them into depression, it takes them into suicide, it takes them. So can you imagine, well, I know you can, but for the listening audience, I need you to think about the fact of, now on top of those emotions, you also have the fact that you didn't have the baby.
You lost the baby.
So now mentally and emotionally, what space are you in?
Right.
So
Right. And that's the thing, because a lot of times you've started prepping for the child to come. You've started buying little things here and there. So you still have to look at this stuff. Even if you box it away, there's going to be times when you go and you unbox it and you're looking at the stuff and it's like, and you're thinking, and it's like, okay, this is the day that I was supposed to be having the baby. This is the day that I should have been doing this. This is the day I should have been. So it's a lot of what ifs
So you still
that come along with it.
I'm sorry. So you still have the postpartum plus the loss, plus you have things to remind you of the loss on top of the post.
Mhm. Yeah.
Y'all women go through a lot.
it is. It's a lot. And like you said, there is no support.
Right.
Again, it goes back to that that whole theology of you're a strong black woman. Keep going. Miss Ed said, I've had 7 miscarriages and literally had to undergo therapy to process and get past all of that.
And that's the thing. You have to find the right therapist. That's a big thing. We have to going to therapy is great, but finding the right therapist that will allow us to process that. Because I've gone to a therapist. I went to a therapist one time, and after listening to me, the therapist said, "You are a strong person." And his next sentence to me was, "Are you averse to taking medication?"
Wow.
Wait a minute. So he considered you to be strong, but he wanted to dope you at the same time.
Yes. And I never went back to him.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
You said you from Brooklyn, right?
Yes.
That didn't come
Brownsville,
out.
to be exact. I don't know if you know about
Well, I know about
that. Is the
Brownsville.
heart of the
Right.
So-
I lived in the
so
Bronx
the-
17 years. I was just asking because I was expecting the Brooklyn to come out at that particular time. I used to work in Brownsville, so trust me, I know.
No.
And Miss Edge agrees with you. She said the right therapist is the key. It is key. For those that are tuning in, sorry to cut you ladies. For those that are tuning in, we are here. We're talking about infertility with well-known New York Times, Amazon bestseller author, Miss Shamika Booker. Right here. This is her book. Ushan Forgot About Me. The link for the book is in the description box. Please, I encourage each and every person that is listening, all 25 of y'all, even the ones that we can't see, we encourage you to please purchase the book today. Please purchase the book today. It is helpful, it is insightful, and definitely for men, because we know nothing about this. Well, some men do. I didn't. I was confused. When Big Ray came to me, he was like, "Oh, it's on infertility." When I came home, I was like, I think he said infertility. I'm confused. I don't know. And so my wife was like, infertility? Yeah, I think that's what he said. She's like, you don't even know what that is, do you? By the time I finish reading this book, I think I have all the clues I need, but right now, no. So I think and like you said, for us it's taboo. Nobody talks about it, so we wouldn't know.
Right.
So as we continue on in your book, throw him off the show, ladies. Big Juice said throw you off.
I mean, I can't leave Big Juice, you know.
So you address growing up, and this is true for most women, young ladies, when you're growing up, especially if your mom is a nurturer, your grandmother is a nurturer, that's all you see. You grow up, you have the dolls, you're starting to, you're becoming that nurturer. So the
Yes.
whole time, that's what you're growing up thinking about. It's like you become, and I don't know about y'all, but I kind of became mama of everybody. Like you just become that mother when that's what's in you. So that's what's being groomed as you're growing up.
Right, because I was the youngest child, but I was so much younger than my siblings that they were having children. So my oldest niece is only 3 years younger than I am.
Wow.
So I was mama and her. Like okay, So I became everybody's auntie, I took care of everybody. Anytime I played house, I was mom. You know, that was me. I was mom. I was bossing everybody around. So yeah, and it's for me, it was just a foregone conclusion. Like I never once pictured my life without children. You know, the funniest story that my mother always tells is I was about maybe 3. I'm playing, she's cooking dinner, and out of nowhere, I told her, well, when my husband gets on my nerves, I'm just going to pack the kids in the car and I'm just going to drive. So I already had this mindset of me and my kids, it was already concluded. Never mind the husband, but my kids, So it was always in me that I thought that that's what would happen.
As we grow up, that's just what we think. Nobody really expects to not actually be able to do the things that they want to do.
Right.
You're right. So I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to go through my notes so I make sure we discuss this as proper. Okay, you alluded to this earlier when you were saying that all of your miscarriages were so close together. In the book, you say that in your first marriage, you had 6 of your miscarriages, and
Yes.
you had one prior to that. And I was saying, in the book, you all were extremely young. You were how?
Oh, when I met him, I had just had my first miscarriage, so I was 16 when I met him. We got married as soon as I turned 18, and by the time I was 21, we were done.
So in that time span of being married from 18 to 21, you had 6 miscarriages.
Well, we actually had a couple before we actually got married. But
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay. So you guys were extremely young. You never received counseling for yourself or individually or as a couple. And I'm quite sure the both of you all were emotionally distressed because I know you talked about a comment that his mother had made, which kind of sent you on a whirlwind.
Yeah. And it's funny because he doesn't remember that comment. And I literally gave him a play-by-play. I was like, this is where we were standing. Like, I could tell him exactly, like, we were on this street in front of the building, we were on the stoop. We had just come from doctor's appointment, this, that, and third. And he was like, wow. But it was like, because it affected me.
Yeah.
He didn't take that direct hit.
Right.
I did.
Right.
And
that would be for any woman because, the man is just a partaker. He's not actually the one having to carry and go through the physical, the physicalities of these things. So it's always we're the ones in direct focus and center stage. They're kind of in the background, just passing through. I hate to say it that way, but just passing through.
It's okay. We understand.
Lord. And then you're married 2 more times.
yes.
The second time, your husband came in with a child that you were attached to.
He came in with a 6-month-old. that I grew a very big attachment to. Great young man too. He's grown up very nicely. Um, and then entered his niece, who we ended up with custody of as well. So we had the family,
So
you
was
know.
that your first? Okay, so let me ask this: did you end up adopting the niece?
No.
Okay,
Um, she ended up back with her mother,
okay, but
but we still have somewhat of a relationship.
okay,
You
okay.
know, she's now in the military. But yeah, so her mother would still reach out to me anytime she needed me to talk to her, anytime she needed me to sit down with her. Like I was still allowed to be part of her life.
Gotcha.
You were still like mommy.
I went to aunt stage. I went to aunt stage. You
Okay.
know, I did. I stepped back and I went to aunt stage. And the funny thing is because I am the godmother to two of her brothers, her
Uh,
twin brothers.
okay.
So yeah, so there's, you
Okay.
know, it was a they were a closely knit family. Um, like I said before, there are parts of um my ex husband's families, all of them, that I'm still close to
Mhm.
because for the ones that are really close to me, they were young when I entered their lives.
Mhm.
So I became that person that they could come to and they could talk to and they could, and to this day that remains.
Got you. Now the third marriage. This is the interesting. The
Woo!
third marriage. This is where. Okay, so starting off in the third marriage, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, did you all discuss prior to the marriage, artificial? It is artificial insemination, right?
Yes,
Okay, because I know you said you did the artificial insemination, not the in vitro.
in vitro,
So
right?
you all discuss prior to the marriage, getting married, artificial insemination?
No, because we didn't at that point we weren't trying to have a child. You
Got you.
know, prior to the marriage, we weren't trying to have a child. We were getting to know each other. We were living, you know, it was just living. So then um when we sat down to it and I'm like, okay, we're a couple of years into this thing. Like what are we gonna do? What you know, let's talk about it. I wanna go and check everything out. And we talked about going to see the fertility specialist. Like I had talked to my GYN and she gave me the name and we talked about it. I made the appointment. We went together, you know. So it was okay, this is the testing that we're going to do for you, Shamika. This is the testing that we're going to do for you, sir. And here we go, you know. And literally I had a list about this long of tests that I had to do. He had this.
Wow.
He had blood work and semen analysis. That's the only two tests that need to be done for him. Whereas I had to be poked, prodded, injected with dye, literally clipped, everything. Like there's so many, yeah. There's a procedure where they actually clip part of your uterus to check the thickness. Yes, yes, yes. So
You didn't
it
say that in
is
the first conversation.
very invasive, you know, when you go in for that.
And I'm asking this for those who may eventually or have thought about these things but don't really know what's what the process is.
Hmm.
Um, and you said that we could be candid, so I
Yes,
appreciate that. Appreciate
yes.
that.
I'm hurting right now.
You have no idea how much it hurts. Like how much. Yeah.
Okay, so then you get to a place where you were actually on the table in the process, and in your mind, all of these questions start coming. Like, am I in this by myself? What? How do we get to that point? And just explain that part.
Okay, so you have to understand, all the tests are now done. They've told you your percentages of doing this without assistance. And they told us we were at 11% if we did it naturally. So the process is very scheduled and very rigorous. So it is first day of your cycle. You have to call the doctor's office and tell them, okay, my cycle has started. So they write you a prescription for you to go pick up the hormone pills, which is a 5-day schedule. So now we're on the hormone pills, Clomid to be exact. And you start that day 3 of your cycle. So now day 3, you take the pill. Everything makes you happy. I mean, literally, the sun is shining. My smile is rivaling the sun.
Wow.
You know, I have a bagel. Oh my God, it's the best bagel ever. Like, you are so
euphoric.
Right. Day 2, everything makes you cry. I'm watching a commercial on TV and it's like a father and a son. And I won't forget, it was a father, a son, and it was like a toilet tissue commercial or something. And it was like a dog. And I was just like, and I'm boohooing because I miss my father, like out the blue. I'm just boohooing.
Okay.
So and then from that day on, that 3rd day of the pill on, everything makes you angry. So now you then have to start having sex with your mate to accompany artificial insemination.
But
I'm angry.
Point, exactly.
I'm not the nicest person in the world right now.
Right. At this point,
we still have to do this. Okay.
Lay down right now. Stop playing. Don't you move.
So I'm not sweet to him, and he's not taking to me really, because it's like, oh my goodness, this woman is annoying right now.
Right.
You know, but that's the process, and then you have to go into the doctor to see what side you're ovulating on, because for me, one side would allow me to become pregnant, the other side would not. So if it's a month where you're ovulating on the correct side, okay, so now we're going to schedule you to get artificially inseminated. You have the choice of your spouse coming with you and giving the sample right there. And then we take it, we wash it, and we put you on the table and we insert it. Or you can bring the sample with you, but you have to get there within an hour. And then we wash it and insert it in you. So my husband decided he was going to work. Here's the sample. Take it, go. So I'm by myself. And I go into the office. I get it there. They're like, okay, we're gonna take it. They number it. They have you make sure you write down the number, because when they bring you that sample back, you have to make sure that's your sample. So, because, other people are bringing in samples, you don't want to mix it up and you have somebody else's baby.
That would be, yeah.
So I'm there and I'm in the waiting room, and there's same-sex couples, there's interracial couples, and nobody is by themselves.
Except you.
Right. So I'm already aggravated.
Yeah.
I'm aggravated. Yeah. I'm like, okay. Alrighty. I'm doing this. And I'm getting myself together. Okay, I'm doing this. And then you go in the room and they do it, and they put you on this table and they invert you to like a 45-degree angle, and your legs are up, and they dim the lights and they put on this soft, relaxing music. And it's like, So when my child asked how they were conceived,
Well, mommy was upside down listening to some good music.
Right. But it's like your dad was across in Brooklyn
city.
working.
Right.
I'm out in Long Island, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just like, is this really what I want to do? Like, if I'm doing this solo, I might as well do this solo.
Yeah.
You know, and I talked to him when I got home that evening, and he was just so nonchalant about it. And he was like, I don't think it should be this much work. Like, if it's going to happen, it should happen.
Oh.
Like, he didn't hear the same results that said 11% like I did.
Got you. So from that initial start point where we go in, we talk to the doctors and stuff, to now it's like
we're months in.
Yeah.
And you're just now voicing that opinion.
Yeah, after we done been through all of this, now is well, we should have just do this normally.
Right.
Got you.
Yeah, I can see you being aggravated.
Yeah.
I can see the aggravation.
Yeah. Like, you know, you could have said that a long time ago, and I wouldn't have been poked, prodded, clipped, you know, died, all of this stuff. Yeah. It was extremely frustrating at that point.
And with your description, I can now see, because a lot of the movies, you know, the movies perception is the woman is being demanding. We need to be on this time point. Let's have sex now. Right. And the man is sitting over there like,
hold on, we just did it 2 minutes ago. Let me.
Well, not before you even get to that. A lot of the men are like running, like, I don't want to do this right now. So with you putting the description to it, now we can see why the attitude is not just that you're being demanding. It's not just, it's everything that goes into it, including the fact that you're sporadic, you're already probably being a little bit mean and distancing, and now we're expected to quote unquote make love.
Well,
right.
It's not even that. It's more so think about it from a male's perspective. Is just 2 days ago you was very happy. Then the day after that you was crying, and then now here you are screaming and yelling at me. So I'm confused. So I'm just as confused as you are confused. And now here we are. You telling me we need to, but you mad. So I don't know what to expect. So I don't know.
Right. But you know what? I took the time, like when they first told me, because they told me that there would be hormonal changes and it would affect me. So I took the time to sit down, my family, my coworkers, because I didn't know what to expect. So, but he was right there. You knew. You understand? You knew, but you didn't prepare yourself and how to deal with it. You know, come, because you're acting up. Come on. She is out of control. Oh my God. Yes. You want to be on camera? Okay. Hello. Say hello.
Welcome to the Way Bacon Coffee Morning Show.
Right. Okay, so y'all, it is the top of the hour. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and finish this intriguing, attention-grabbing interview with Miss Shamika Booker with Ocean Forgot About Me.
We'll be back with more of the Wake Bacon Coffee Morning Show, live with Georgia's first black governor.
Next week on Mama Quita's Love Series, author Shamika Booker will be discussing her new book, Ocean Forgot About Me. It entails a word that somehow has become taboo in our community: infertility. We're going to deep dive into her book as she discusses
miscarriages, artificial insemination, foster care, and adoption. The nuances, stigmatisms, and the pain of it all. I encourage all women of all ages to join me and Shamika in this very needed conversation. As it may not be you, it may be your sister, your cousin, or even your daughter. We'll see you Thursday, February 11th, starting at 10 a.m. on the Wake, Bake, and Coffee Morning Show, Mama Quita's Love Series, either on YouTube or Facebook Live. I look forward to seeing you.
God's Word, the Bible, is very relevant. Each week on Straight Talk with Pastor Patch, God's Word, the Bible, is very relevant. Each week on Straight Talk with Pastor Patch, we'll even chat with Atlanta locals, believers and non-believers alike. We'll just sit down and talk about it. Each week on Straight Talk, as we organically apply Holy Scripture to everyday life. I think it's long overdue that we get back to basics. Don't you think? I'm pretty excited about it. Can't wait to hang out with you. One love.
AMJ Wells Production.
We'll be back right after this.
Stressed and worried every day, struggling trying to make a way on your own, but you feel all hope is gone. You got bills and ain't got no money, balance in your bank account's almost funny, searching for a way to pay. But what does the Bible say? He will supply all your needs according to his riches in glory. All you gotta do is ask him and just believe he'll give you what you need, and then you can receive it. Need a little peace in life, stressing cause your money ain't right, tired of the pain and strife, chill cause it's not your fight. Even when the vision is blurry, you feel unsure, don't worry, he'll be right there in a hurry. He is able to do it for us. Life can hurt us so bad, sometimes we end up being mad about the things we don't understand, but there's someone looking out for you no matter what you're going through. His love is true. He will supply all your needs according to his riches in glory. All you gotta do is ask him and just believe he'll give you what you need, and then you can receive. Need a little peace in life, stressing cause your money ain't right, tired of the pain and strife, chill cause it's not your fight. Even when the vision is blurry, feel unsure, don't worry, he'll be right there in a hurry. He is able to do it for you. He's able. 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 Need a little peace in life, stressing cause your money ain't right, tired of the pain and strife, chill cause it's not your fight. Even when the vision is blurry, don't worry. He's able. He's able to do it for us.
Y'all know what time it is.
Hey y'all! Allow me to introduce myself. I'm
Mama Quita.
and this here is the Mama Quita's Love Series.
Y'all know what time it is.
So grab your pen and your pad and put on your thinking caps, and let's get down to this relationship business.
Y'all know what time it is.
Mama Quita's Love Series.
Yeah, welcome back to the Way Baking Coffee Morning Show. Y'all know what time it is. It is the Mama Quita Love Series. We are here with New York Times and Amazon best-selling author, Miss Shamika Booker. Right.
All right, let's get back on the road. What is
the big truth talking about? Oh, okay.
Juice, we have no idea what you're talking about, buddy. We'll talk about that after we get done with this interview, though. How about that? Okay, so, this was a topic of conversation when we were discussing this the first time. You approached your friends, questioning them, but about having the baby, but separating the relationship. And when I read it, it was funny because I was like, wait a minute, hold on. She asked them, but then she wanted to separate the relationship. Like, what? They was friends before she got pregnant. She gonna just drop them after she get pregnant? Yeah, what? Okay, so explain the reasoning of how that happened.
Right. It wasn't that I would drop the friendship. It was just that I would absolve them of any responsibility. So they were good enough friends to where I felt like they would always be in my child's life.
Okay.
But I didn't want them to feel pressured, because if they hadn't had children already, that was obviously something that they didn't desire.
Got you.
So for whatever reason. So it was, this is what I want. You have the qualities, and I knew these people, so these are the qualities that I would want my child to have. I know you're not crazy. I know some of the family background, so this was, to me, it was a win-win.
Okay.
But so that you won't feel any pressure, so that you won't feel like, oh my God, now I'm gonna be tied to this woman for the next 18 years. And because that dynamic changes things, because you could be the best of friends with somebody, but once that child comes into play, especially if you're not in a relationship, it becomes a whole different ball game. So it was, I don't want to damage our friendship by then saying, I expect you as a father to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Because because it's one thing to be an uncle or godfather or whatever. You have the, you're the fun one. You come around, you do this, you do that, You're not expected to be a disciplinarian. You're not expected to be there. You're not expected to, hey, middle of the night, baby sick. Hey, I need this. I need you to, so I didn't want to put that into the mix of our friendships.
Got you. So they would still be expected to be in the baby's life, just relinquishing
in a different role.
Right.
There's no expectation. We're killing the expectation. All I need is for you to help me get this baby, and then anything from there, you decide whether or not you want to do. It's basically what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
Uncle Steve.
So after you and the third husband, after all of that, you guys get a divorce. Then that's when you decide. When you were, I can't remember if you decided or you were invited to the foster care.
Well, it wasn't immediately after that. What happened was we parted ways, and then about 2 years later, I moved out to Jersey. And at that time, I was considering doing in vitro, or artificial insemination. I was weighing my options with that, and I was going through the catalog of of trying to find a donor, and that was in and of itself a project. And it was interesting and expensive, so I went to Circle of Sisters
Okay.
at the Javits Center, and I'm online for whatever I was online for, and the foster care agency came around, and I'm thinking it's for New York, and I'm like, well, I live in Jersey, and they're like, yeah, we're from New Jersey, and I was like, oh, okay, and so I signed up to become a foster right there on the spot. I was like, yeah, it's something I could do, you know. And then when I looked into it, it was, they had the foster to adopt option, and it was intensive, the background and the training and everything. I mean, I jumped through major hoops from 2015 to June of 2017 when I got licensed.
Wow.
Yeah, it was almost 2 years. It was from November of 2015. I didn't actually hear from them until April. And then the ball started to roll.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot. So then when you hear from them, what happens?
I heard from them. I got a call and I said, okay, this is fine. So they said, well, somebody's going to come out and speak to you. So the person came out. They told me what the process was. I had to, consent to getting my background done, which was not a problem. Had to go for fingerprints, not a problem. I had to do 40 hours of training, which I did through the winter. It was all only on Saturdays. And I did 40 hours of training through snowstorms and everything. Like it was amazing. But then I had to divulge my financial records. I had to do my medical. Then I had to get a medical for the dog.
The dog?
Yes, the dog. And then they came and they, everything was cleared, and they came with a 12-page application.
Wait a minute.
So I had to do a 12-page application where you literally have to create your family tree. You have to do, it was a lot. And you had to give a breakdown on where each person was in your family and everything. It was very detailed.
So I'm sorry to cut you off. So the application didn't come first. It came after all of this. So and this is just me thinking, what if the application didn't meet your approval and you had already done all of this other stuff?
Right. Then you're done.
After they done got all in your business.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So you do this 12-page application, and then they come back. And after they've reviewed your 12-page application, you have to then do a 2-hour interview. Wow. Where because the 2-hour interview, you have to recall, they want your entire life history from as far back as you can remember. And when I'm telling you your entire life history, like I had one brother who was killed in 1990. And so they needed to know what led to him getting killed. They needed to know how the family processed it. They needed to know there were incidents in my past. Have you dealt with this? Had I been to counseling for X, Y, or Z? The religious standpoint, what support systems I had, people in the neighborhood that I associated with, what church affiliations I had, what, work, literally every single detail.
Wow.
And then after that 2-hour interview and 12-page application, they came back with another 5 pages, of questions, follow-up questions for another hour and change interview.
Okay.
And then after all of that, they said, oh, you haven't been in New Jersey for 5 years yet. We need to run an Adam Walsh, which means that they had to go through all the states
that you ever lived
to check my background. Gosh. To make sure I didn't have anything anywhere else. So once all of that came back, it was, okay, so now we can do the apartment check. And they check it, and it always reminds me of, you remember the movie Claudine?
Uh-huh.
Remember how the welfare worker would come and investigate and look through everything?
Uh-huh.
They went in my refrigerator, my stove, my cabinets, my drawers, my closets. They checked the temperature of the water. They made sure all the burners in the stove was working. They checked. What I failed on was the windows. The windows, not every window had screens on them. So I actually had to get someone to make me screens
Wow.
for my windows out of my pocket. I paid to have screens made for my window, custom made, because they didn't just exist for the size windows I had.
Wow.
And then I got approval. And then I thought everything was a go. And as I was taking the dog for a walk. The caseworker had just left, and she calls me and she's like, I just got a call from my supervisor where they need to talk to your doctor because she listed obesity. So that can be a problem. Exactly.
Wow.
Okay.
I was like, you see me walking, talking, able to move, doing everything. I work every day, but they still need an explanation. They need to know that my weight wasn't going to be a hindrance in taking care of a child. I said, at that point, the medical now was about 7 months old.
Wow.
So she's not going to remember.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
I said, so now I need to go back to the doctor and do this. But they called the doctor. The doctor was able to clarify.
Okay.
And it was fine. And that's when I got licensed, June of 2017.
Well, just like your book said right now, this is how I felt reading that part. I was livid.
Yeah.
Wow.
So for those
they don't do this much background when someone's having a child.
Right.
And they're taking these children from people who are not capable, and even when they give the children back to these parents, they don't do this much digging in their background.
Wow.
And if it's a kinship, they don't do this much digging to make sure that the family members are able to take care of them properly.
So let me get this straight. In order for you to become a foster parent or to go into help foster kids, which could lead to adoption, you have to give your great grandmother's ancestry history, your history, mama, daddy history, legalism, everything about you. But if they wanted to come in and take the child and give it back to the parent, that is not done to the parent. If another family member steps up and say, okay, I'll take the child, they don't have to go through. Wow. So for those that are thinking about getting into foster care adoption, please take notes. Please get the book, read the book, take notes on the process, because it's broken down in more detail in the book.
Okay, so you go through all of that, and then you talk about your first experience with possibility of getting the baby.
Right. He was the first experience. I got a call. We have a baby for you. I'm excited. I'm getting ready. And 2 hours, I believe it was 2 hours before she was supposed to come, I got a call saying the mother gave the information for the grandmother. The grandmother accepted her. So nothing. So now I had started buying stuff, little girl stuff. I was excited. My girlfriend was at the ready talking about, okay, so I'm about to send a bassinet to your home. Right? But the thing is, another thing that you had to do before becoming licensed was get your home ready. So you had to put up a dresser and a crib because I was zoned for 0 newborn to 2 years old.
Okay.
So I had to have a crib and I had to have a dresser for their clothes.
Okay.
And I had to put decals on the wall. I have a really big bedroom, and so the half of the room was dedicated to the baby.
Okay.
So there was a crib, dresser, all of that, decals on the wall, all ready for the baby. It was a year and change before I got him, because he was born May. He was born, right, I got him May 16th of 2018. Almost a year. Yeah. May 16th, 2018.
Wow.
And that's when I got a little boy. He was 6 days old.
Wow.
And his mother had no rights to any of her children. He was her 9th child. But to say the confusion that went on with that, because nobody knew, they actually thought he was her 14th child. The reason being because all of the children had been adopted and some of their names have been changed.
Okay.
So they were listed twice.
Oh, okay.
So there was confusion. They thought that he was her 14th child.
Wow.
So the lack of communication that became apparent within the system, because it was little things, there was lots of little things that kept coming up. Lots of little things that they should have known that they didn't know. You know, it was just a nightmare, to say the least, because it should have been easy to do. It should have been an easy process, since she didn't have any rights to her children, but they have to actually formally release the rights to each child. So just because she had a child and she didn't have rights to them, they had to actually still give her 12 months to fight back and forth.
Really?
Yes. From a legal standpoint, they had to give her 12 months to fight back and forth.
Wow.
Even though they knew that she couldn't prove, because she was still on drugs. She had a plethora of things going on. You know, it was a lot. So in the meantime, she was still getting visitations. So you had to deal with, I'm raising this child this way, but once a week she gets to meet with her child and disrupt what I'm doing. So he was 5 months and she put iced tea in his bottle.
Excuse me, she put who?
Iced tea. Not diluted either. So he comes home and there's iced tea in his bottle, and I call the caseworker and I'm like, what is this? Because these are supervised visits. So why did you allow this?
Her, right.
And they're like, well, she still has rights. He is her child.
This is a
And so if something happens with him, it's me going to the doctor. It's me going to the hospital. So where is the concern or care about me or this child? But there is none. You as a foster to adopt parent, you have no rights until the paper is signed saying that you are the adopted parent. You have no rights. It is at the whim of the parent and the agency, and the agency defers to the child. To the parent. They don't act in the best interest of the child, even though they claim they do. Hush your mouth. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so you have one incident where you get a child that has behavioral issues, and you were saying that you called them because you couldn't deal with that, and they made you out to be the bad guy, even to the baby.
Yes.
How old was the baby?
He turned 2 while he was with me.
Okay.
He turned 2 while he was with me.
And you were saying that even as the coworker was walking out the door, she was saying something like she doesn't care about you, or...
Right. She was putting him in the car, and she didn't allow me to hug him goodbye. And this was after making me keep him an additional month after I had told him he needed to be removed. Like, this wasn't a child that was just having some tantrums. He was literally falling out in the middle of the street. He was kicking walls. He was waking up in the middle of the night, um, going through it. And I promise you, there was one night where I thought I needed to call exorcist because, and I'm not exaggerating, like he was asleep, but he was scooting on his butt throughout the house, out of the bed and through the hallway, through the living room, and until he got into the smallest corner he could find. And he was just screaming at the top of his lungs. Mind you, I had another baby here who was, now he's disturbed her sleep. She's awake. I'm awake. And I'm trying to make sure, okay, if he's sleepwalking, do I,
You don't even know how to deal
do
with
I wake
it.
him up? Do I do this? So it was just every night he would just get up, and even if he just walked around the bed, he would just walk around the bed. And it was just a lot of different things. And it wasn't just me. He was also doing it in daycare. He was having issues at daycare as well. But he screamed, and I said, well, we just leave him alone. I left him alone in the living room one day, and I just let him scream. But I put him in the car seat so that he couldn't hurt himself.
Right.
And one of my neighbors called police. So,
Wow.
So once the police came, that was when I said, he has to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm not going to jeopardize this other child or my freedom because no one knows what's going on. So, at the time, I'm saying, he's all packed up. They didn't even want to take all of his stuff. It was a nightmare. So she's putting him in the car, and I'm saying to him, you have to behave when you go to the next house, because I was his third home. So he was going to his fourth home. I'm like, you have to behave.
And he's just a baby.
Because I didn't want him to become a statistic, but I knew I wasn't equipped to handle it. I said he needs somewhere where they can focus their attention on him. And she was like, don't listen to her. She don't care about you.
Wow.
Are you serious?
So
and it took everything in me to not go to the Brownsville side of me.
You must have known that question was coming. Like, how did the Brownsville side feel at that particular point? Right.
Yeah, it was like, okay. And let me tell you something. They know my name in that office like the back of their hand. Because when I tell you I am quick to write a letter and go above and beyond, like all the way up to the governor's office. Yeah. They know me.
So let me get this straight. The babies that you could handle, they came and snatched them up. The baby that you needed some help with, they prolonged that as long as they could.
Yes.
And then tried to make you feel bad about the situation.
And the funny thing is, because they've never given me an update on the two that were supposed to be adopted by me, but they did give me an update on him. Wow. They actually called me to say, oh, he's doing great in this new house, and he's this and other. I said, then I made the right decision.
Absolutely.
And he's somewhere where someone can handle him.
Absolutely.
I prefer that.
Absolutely. Wow. Tess.
So to all you city council members that follow us, take heed.
Tess, this, amazing. How about that? Okay. So the religious standpoint, you grew up in a religious household. The first book I learned to read was the Bible. Faith was second nature. I can quote scripture and verse, but my faith was shaken. And people of religion, when we get to the religious people, it's funny because it's almost as if they pretend that they're not human.
Yes.
So they pretend that they are perfect. Their faith never gets shaken. And they have the audacity to judge you when if truth be told, and their book, their covers will pull back, I'm pretty sure we could find where you've been shaken also.
Right.
Shaken, they probably been destroyed.
And I can only imagine the conversations of just trust God. Just pray about it.
God has a plan. It's all in His hands. Trust me, He has it. This, that, and third. I mean, it was just so much, and people don't like to hear you be honest about your faith. People don't like to acknowledge when you are having a crisis of faith. They think that you should not ever have that moment or moments when you are literally saying to them, I can't pray. I need someone to stand in the gap for me. If I am literally saying that to you, that means that I acknowledge where I am spiritually.
Right.
But I'm asking you, as my brother or my sister,
To help me.
to do this for me.
To uphold me as we supposed to.
Right. Instead of criticizing me or looking at me like I'm crazy and telling me, well, God won't give you more than you can bear.
Well, we know that.
I think people tend to forget that the devil has power too.
Because they're taught that they don't.
Well, I was about to say, because they taught that they don't. And when I read this part of your book, it made me think of most people have a Pharisee's view. Then they really have and what I mean by Pharisee, I mean religious view. They don't have a relationship view. Because God wouldn't, having a relationship with God and understanding the relationship with Christ, talking spiritual to you is not what you need at that moment.
Right.
Me relating to you on a human level, me relating to you person to person. Because if Jesus was walking this earth, He wouldn't have never came to you and said, well, you know, my Father never gave you more than what you can bear. You know, no, He would sit down and He would talk to you person to person. He would want to relate to you on a person to person level, like He did the woman at the well. And He would, and as you ask for that prayer, understanding to stand in the gap for you. Because for you to say, I can't pray. See, a religious person would be like, I don't understand why not. But a person who has a true relationship with Christ would be like,
I get it.
I get you. I understand why you can't pray. Because there was a time I couldn't pray. But I tell you what, I got you. Let me stand in the gap for you. Matter of fact, can I pray for you right now?
Right. Right.
And what has happened is, I think religion has killed faith altogether.
Yes.
And for a woman to go through what you've been through, the last thing you needed was religion. You needed someone that can relate to you, even if they didn't understand at all what it is you had been through.
Right.
You know.
And that's the big thing. I think people get too caught up in cliches. People get caught up in saying catchphrases and think that's the right thing to say. You know, sometimes you have to remove all the memes. You have to remove all of the, the 2-second fixes. Because again, that's not wanting to actually be involved with somebody.
Yep.
You know, you give a surface gloss over. You paint something on it.
It's
You
almost.
know.
I don't mean to cut you. It's almost like you said earlier. Nobody will ask you how you really feel, because now I really have to sit here and hear you out and take on what you really feel.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. And people, I've had to learn to put into practice what I needed, regardless of the situation, because it's people go through all sorts of things. So, especially in this last year or so, with people losing multiple people and facing their own illness and facing financial problems and all sorts of things that are going on, I've had to learn to put that into practice and say, well, I'm here to just listen to you, because sometimes people don't need a solution.
They just need to vent.
Right. They just need to. And the best thing that was ever said to me was my best friend saying, even if you just want me to listen to you breathe, I'm here.
Yeah.
And that's, sometimes people just need to know that you're there. Like that you gave them that safe space to be vulnerable, okay,
Yep.
to not put up the front, because that's what it is. Like, even when there are funerals and everything, you still, because you're criticized if you're emotional. If you're overly emotional, it's like, oh, there go the actress, and there's the
Yep. Yep.
so giving people that safe space. And then with funerals and things of that nature, when somebody dies, people are around for like their first week until the service, and they think that that's all that's needed. No.
It's
the
that
real the
quiet
real
time.
dealing with it doesn't come until after all of that is over.
When it's quiet, there's no more busyness. There's nothing else to do. That's when your mind begins. That's when the battle in the mind begins.
Right. That's when you're remembering, you're cooking dinner, and it's, oh, this person would be here for dinner.
Yeah.
Or you go to pick up the phone to call that person, and I can't. you know and that's a pain that continues for a long time. And people don't get that. So it's, we have to stop thinking, and this is for any situation, not just this one. We have to stop thinking about ourselves and how we think we will react, because we love to put ourselves in, if it was me. No, but it's not.
Yep.
you know
Yep.
that's a big thing.
Yep. We didn't discuss this when we were talking, but I think this needs to be said. On that same page, you say, I stayed on my knees praying and crying to God. I wanted to die, honestly. I couldn't figure out why, and I felt worthless. I laid in the bed and sleep wouldn't come. When I would finally catch a couple of hours, I awoke thinking, I guess I made it another day. I wasn't suicidal. I just had no will to live. If I wasn't supposed to be a mother, why did I have this deep-rooted desire that I couldn't dig out with a knife if I tried? And I'm asking this for somebody. I don't know why this I was just looking at the page and this jumped out at me. So I know God is telling me somebody needs to hear this part. With feeling that way, what helped you get over that?
Actually, writing. I had to write. I had to put the words somewhere. I had to put the feeling somewhere. And every time I wrote, I felt like I was able to breathe a little bit easier.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was because that's what I was supposed to do for somebody else, but I had to do it because it was literally suffocating me. You know, like I work from home now. You know, since the pandemic. Well, we were already transitioning to work from home. Um, and the space from there's about 4 steps from my bed to the bathroom, and there's about 20 steps from the bathroom to where my desk is. And those will be 20 of the longest steps of my life to go and pretend that I was okay to work. You know, and go and pretend that, okay, everything's going to be all right. We're going to get through this.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Go ahead.
How long did you have to write?
Well, I had started putting the words on paper about 2 years ago. I was sitting at work one day and I had typed up like 3 pages, and I was just writing because I just needed to. In that moment, I needed to breathe, and then that was before I got the first child, and then everything it just started. Like I would go back every so often and write a page too. But then when the kids came, I just completely put it down. And so they took her September 21st. I think it was October. It might have been like the middle of October when I started writing again. And I got it finished by November 1st. And then I went through the whole trying to find the cover art, and the person who did the cover art for me was absolutely amazing. I had reached out to a couple of other people, but the person who did the cover art, which is behind me, she did a guided meditation, and then she just started to paint. Okay. And this is the result. You know, she hadn't read the book. Okay. She knew the premise, but she had not read the book. She knew the name, and this is what resulted.
Okay. You make a statement that says, I had failed at anything. What do you mean by that?
Because it was the marriages, it was the babies. Was, you know, I just was not at a place where I thought I would be. This wasn't what I pictured my life to be at all. You know? So it was, what am I doing? You know, what? Like, where am I? Like, what? It was not how it was supposed to happen. You know, this wasn't it. You know, it was. And then the funny thing was, because I moved to Jersey because I had a job that I had for 15 years, and they moved to Jersey. And for the first 2 years and change, I was commuting back and forth, and that was a crazy commute. So I moved out to Jersey, and then 2 years and change later, I lost that job. And I took a tremendous pay cut when I got my next job. So it was just, everything was out of whack.
Gotcha.
You know, because even where I moved to, like, it was literally 12 minutes away from where my job was. And I moved on this particular street because there's a Montessori school, which was $13,000 for the school year. But given the job I had, I could afford it. So if I was doing the artificial insemination and I had a child, this was the perfect, because with my work schedule, everything was perfect. It was all lined up. Gotcha. So even though this was the alternate plan, it was still, I had a plan B, you know, and this worked well with my plan B, and plan B blew up to smithereens. And I was like, okay.
What they say?
What am I doing?
You want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans.
Exactly. He said, I done knocked out plan A. Okay. Here you come with a plan B. Okay. Okay, let's see how many times you're gonna do this. You know, let's see how
What
many
y'all
times you're gonna do this. So,
You make the statement, I'm a temporary, maybe I'm a temporal angel placed on earth to give love to those in need. Maybe I needed it to experience this so I could help others navigate this treacherous road. How do you feel about that? Are you in agreement?
I think that is part of my God-given assignment. You know, I think part of it is that. Part of it is giving these children the love that they need while they need it. Um, I may very well be that transition, that way station, you know. And sometimes you just need that love and support. And then I think I had to learn certain lessons in order to be more empathetic, even though I've always been a nurturer, but I think I needed to learn to just open up even more and be able to give people that space, especially our women. That okay, this is where you can be vulnerable. This is where you can talk. This is where, because a lot of people start programs and they don't necessarily give what they actually claim that they're going to give.
Yeah.
You know, people can have good intentions, but not necessarily
No,
the mindset.
Right.
oh,
Uh-oh.
we can't hear you.
That's on her end.
We can't hear you.
I think she got a phone call. Welcome back. There she go.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with Miss Shamika Booker.
Technical.
Yep, technical difficulties.
There she go.
I'm back.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Can you guys see me?
Yes.
We got
Okay.
you. We're back. Okay.
Okay.
So that actually segued right into where we were going next with the support. It's you stated in the book that there's not a lot of support, especially for our community. And kind of tell us what you found in looking to get the support after going through all of that.
Yeah, I found one support group that was specifically for Black women. At the time that I was looking, I found one support group that was for Black women, and I don't want to say the name. If you ever notice, I don't say names. I don't even name my husband's. I don't, I'm not trying to get sued.
Right. Right.
There was one group that I found online, and it was strange because it was supposed to be for fertility issues, and I understood the premise of offering hope. But the first thing that I clicked on, when I first clicked on the page to enter it, it was a picture of the founder with her child. That's not necessarily what you want to see, because I'm not necessarily going to get that result.
Yeah.
Everybody isn't promised a happily ever after.
Yeah.
Now what I'm noticing, there are a couple of, there's one group, and I found it interesting because I spoke to one of the people from the group, and it's not a group for Black women. It's just a group for women suffering from infertility, infant loss, SIDS, dealing with SIDS, all sorts of infant loss. And they're a very inclusive group. But I spoke to them And I don't know if the person actually read my book, but now they're offering a course, uh, workshops for people dealing with someone who is experiencing that.
Oh,
So
wow.
for the spouses and everything else, but they're charging.
Mm.
And I found another group, someone brought to my attention another group that offers doulas and such for dealing with this, for specifically for Black women, but they charge you to even enter into their room, into their website.
Wow. So you now are in a place where you're dealing with this stuff, because if you're looking for it, then obviously it's probably going to be fresh, or it's where, like you and Miss Tanika have experienced so many times, and you're needing to find a place, an outlet, how to really deal with this. And now I got to come up with money, and I'm just thinking about someone who is a low income or don't have the money. How, and now I got to come up with money just to get help. Like, how supportive is that? Most support groups, especially with the mental health issues that are going on these days, we got to do better.
Well, I wouldn't even.
Yes.
I'm sorry, ladies. I wouldn't even say low income. It's just the fact that you have already taken a
Hit.
loss.
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing, and as you mentioned in the beginning of the book, you and Mama Quita even spoke on this earlier. Of you're going through the postpartum, plus you're dealing with a loss, plus you're dealing with a reminder of a loss, and now I have to pay somebody to come in to continue to deal with it's almost like it's almost like watching the Batman, the old Batman series. It's like pam, ping, pow, pam, boom. Is
And especially if you try to do artificial insemination or in
Yes.
vitro, because those are really expensive. So, if you reach the end of your road with that, because people do GoFundMe's to afford fertility treatments.
Wow.
If you ever look on GoFundMe, a lot of people, because it costs tens of thousands of dollars.
Wow.
People take out loans against their homes trying to afford this.
Wow. And I never thought about the fact of, well, I know even with adoption, a lot of people thinking about the fact that, I want this to be my baby, or I don't know what I'm getting, so they decide not to do that road. But then for those who do decide to go through that road, and then I hear the stories of the things that you went through, and then one of my aunts used to do foster care, and I think the last time she had a baby girl, and she stayed with us for like 3 years. Everybody was attached to her. We loved the baby. She wanted to adopt her, and then, like you said, they came, snatched her right on out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like everybody wants to say, yeah, you can't have babies, but it's so many babies out here for you to adopt. And then when you go to the adoption agency or the foster care, you got to go through this. But nobody sees that part. All they see is the fluff that everybody says, oh, but there's all these kids that need to be adopted.
And then people like to say, well, what about private adoption? And I said, in a private adoption, the parent still has up to a year to come back and say, I changed my mind.
Wow.
And people have brought up overseas adoption. And I said, do you understand that a lot of times with overseas adoptions, you're sent this picture. You're sending tens of thousands of dollars. You're jumping through all the hoops. You're getting visas. You're doing all of this. And then you get there, and that's not the child that you've seen in the picture. But by now, you've invested so much money. A lot of times, especially with China, you've invested all this money, and you end up with an older child because they lie.
Wow.
And there's no governing laws.
Wow.
So you've invested all this money, and it's just like, well, you take it or leave it at this point.
That I didn't know either. Wow. That's heartbreaking. Like, that's really
that's like a
heartbreaking.
slap in the face.
It is.
Huh?
It definitely
So
is.
there's no guarantees with any of it. And that's unfortunately the thing. It's like there's no guarantees.
Wow. Wow. And this is why you have decided to be a forerunner.
Because you have to, like, there's so much that people don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much that people haven't thought about. Because I didn't think about, I didn't. Okay, this is the situation. This is ideal. Okay, let's go. Even with the second child. Okay, this is ideal. It's different from this one. Okay, so this is ideal. The parent already said she didn't want to have anything to do with it. She didn't name anything. Okay, let's go. No. No,
It's never as simple as they make it out to be.
not at all.
Wow. Wow. So, with that being said, Miss Booker, what have you started? I know you have your Facebook page. Let's go ahead and
Plug it.
Right.
plug that on in.
So there is the OFAM Facebook page, OFAM Facebook page, which is a space for everyone to find out anything happening with the book. I also have Black Woman Blues, which is more inclusive, where it is for anyone that has issues as a Black woman, and this is that space for them to be weak, them to come to us and say, hey, I need prayer, I need help, I need to just vent, I need, this is what's going on in my life, I need to talk. And then there's the virtual healing circles, which I realized when we first attempted to do it, when you attach healing, it means that people have to acknowledge that they need healing, which denote that something is wrong with them, that they are broken. People don't want to admit that. Okay, so we have to get to the point where we are willing to admit it. So even I did with my OFAM group, I did a self-love challenge, which we had to reset because as women, we put everything else in front of ourselves. It's a 30-day self-love challenge. And within the first 15 days, everyone had fallen off track. Why? Because we put family, work, and everything else ahead of giving ourselves that love. So I am working on, I'm trying to do a retreat, but with COVID, I'm pushing it back to 2022.
Gotcha.
Because it's hard right now to do anything, but everything is virtual. We're trying to do everything virtually and be here for everyone. So I do have a life coach that works with me, trying to help everyone. Anyone that reaches out to us, we are here and we're doing all that we can for now.
Got you. Okay. And I'm just gonna throw this out there for Miss Booker because she didn't ask me to do this, but and she could just tell me if I was wrong for saying this, but I'm just gonna say it. So Miss Booker is a forerunner, and she is an amazing woman, and she is trying to help women and provide the support that is needed. So if we can help her with her nonprofit group and getting her together.
Let's do so. And you do so first by purchasing the book. Because it does take funds to get these things started.
And if you know of any grants, anything that can help her, look, I'm just putting you out there, Miss Booker. I don't know. It was just dropped in my spirit to do, so we going to go with this.
I appreciate it.
Y'all, I actually only did it because she said it's something she wants to do. So we're going to put the ball back in her court. But if we can help in any way, honestly, that's what we want to do.
Definitely.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So if you don't know the link to purchase the book is in the description box on YouTube and on Facebook. So if you are on Periscope, you will have to go to Facebook or YouTube to click on the link. Also, if you're in the Facebook groups, you can still see the link. But I do have one question.
Yes.
And I don't know why this dropped in my spirit to ask. Maybe your answer is for someone else. It's kind of like it's one question, but it's a two-part question. What would you tell the little girl that want to jump in the car when the husband gets on their nerve? And what would you tell the little girl who was 16?
The one that was the 3-year-old that, yeah, that's, you may not have the children. You may not. But you're right. Just drive. Just drive. Because there was a part of me that always knew that I wouldn't be married forever.
Okay.
I think there's that part of me that knew that. Just could be that, my attitude. And my mother, like I said, her and my father had not had an argument. There was nothing, there was no reasoning. But that was just me. Like,
Right.
So I think I always kind of knew that. Now, the one at 16, process it. Stop and process it. Go get help. Make them take tests to find out what the problem is. Push for your own health. Because I didn't find out for over a decade later what the actual issue was.
Okay.
And I probably would not have, had it not been for fertility treatments, for the testing. I would not have found out that my blood overclots and that I have antiphospholipid syndrome. And it's, most people don't know what that is, but it's the blood overclotting. And it can cause a number of other issues, and it can essentially shut down your organs. So it's bigger than just the baby. So it is, push for your own health.
Yes.
Stop it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, join the Facebook group, OFAM, and the other group was
Black Woman Blues.
Black Woman Blues.
So it's that is more than just anything to do with fertility. It is to deal with any life issues that as Black women we're facing and trying to be strong, and that's the safe place to be vulnerable.
Yes, Miss Edge, you missed a lot. But Miss Booker.
Yes.
I just want to know, could you do us a favor? And on the Facebook Live, when you get an opportunity, could you go into the comments and tag both of your groups so people could actually go directly to your groups? Because I don't know if you want everybody to flock to your personal Facebook.
No. Because my personal Facebook page can be a little bit much of time. No.
So right. I was going to see, because I was trying to find the OFAM group just by doing the.
But it wasn't coming up.
But it wasn't coming up.
Because you have to place the periods there.
I did.
Yeah.
I did, and pretty much what I was getting was the.
Take the ad off.
Well, that song I'm very fun.
Please.
Still not coming up. Yeah. When we put it in, we get a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So we want to make sure we get the right one.
Right.
Yes.
Everything is in Chinese.
Yeah.
Oh no. But and what I do want people to know is because the title throws people somewhat. Oshun forgot about me. a lot of people thought that it was, me going into a whole thing in reference to that goddess.
Yeah, because when we saw the book, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, wait a minute, what, huh? Okay, let me read this and see
Right.
where this is going.
Right. And it's not about her, you know. So and trust me, I hesitated on naming the book. But that was what my spirit led me to name it.
Okay.
I literally prayed over it. Because I was like, I don't want the Christians offended. I don't want the spiritualists. I don't want them, jumping up, because a lot of people will contact me and be like, well, what do you know about Oshun? Oh, right. Trust me, I know. I've studied some of everything under the sun. So trust me, before I did that, and there were people that said, well, she's going to be pissed if you name that. And I'm like, it's not about her. This is about me and how I felt
at that time.
Right. So she is, like I said, and I made the comment about, look, whatever God.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say it was self-explanatory in the book.
Right.
If I needed to go into a Jewish temple, look here, So yeah. So it was. You don't have to be afraid if you're a Christian. You don't have to.
Trust me. This book was well prayed over. When Ray gave me the book, I shook his hand. And I think that's why I didn't really hear when he was like infertility. I was, and the whole ride home, I was like, I really want to interview this lady. Lord, I don't think that you brought me Big Ray at this particular. I don't think that you made this connection, and then he gives an opportunity that you didn't allow to happen. So. Help me. I said, because I'm just looking at the title. I haven't even read the book. I haven't even dived into the book. And what I've learned is you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. And so I prayed over it and I said, Lord, if it's meant for us to have this interview, Jesus, this interview is going to happen. If it's not meant, you're going to let it be known. And I read the book. I fell in love with the book. And like I explained to you, and like I explained to Big Ray, I only had two problems with the book. I didn't like the foster care people. I don't like y'all. I don't like the adoption foster care people. And in the book, it's almost like watching a good movie, and you got to the end, and it's like,
what happens next?
Exactly.
Wait a minute, this can't be it. Stop playing. Okay, so
but that was the reason why I ended it that way, because I didn't know if there was going to be a part 2.
Right. It makes you
know. I hesitated, and I was like, it's really short, and I was like, but I don't want to be repetitive. I didn't want to name names. People have asked for a prequel. People have asked for a movie. People have asked for, right? Yes.
I already asked for a part 2. Where's part 2 coming, right? So yeah.
So there are, but it left the door open for whatever is to come next. And because I can't plan it. It's not in my hands. Like at this point, I've given it to God and said, well, you direct it.
Right. Why does that look fuzzy?
That's a good screen. So, I would say this. If you do decide to do a movie, please allow Anthony Media to have first dibs.
I will. I'm actually speaking to 2 producers right now.
Yeah, allow Anthony Media to have first dibs on at least on the direction part,
Okay.
We can come in and do the filming at least.
Not a problem at all. Look, Georgia has more. You guys have more leniency with everything right now, so for sure.
We can go outside and play. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No offense.
So we're just getting indoor dining back.
Right, no
I
offense.
believe this weekend.
Yeah,
This weekend. So
yeah, we can go outside to play. We've been going outside to play since the pandemic.
yes.
But
Mm-hmm.
I am grateful that you did come on. My wife prayed over the book. We had a pre-interview prior to this, and God really showed up in that pre-interview. So I'm grateful for you to come on and share your experience. I'm grateful for my wife being able to dive deep because she wrote sticky notes. I didn't know if I had to get a book back because I was ready to highlight. I was ready to scratch through the book, and I was like, I hope Big Ray don't ask for this book back.
No.
Because I really want to scribble scrabble, but then I didn't want to mess up my wife's notes. So I just kept my notes and my feelings to myself and allow her to have her way. So I'm very grateful that both of you really came on and really delivered to the women. To everybody that's watching, please share this. And when you share it, especially my people on Facebook, even if you're on YouTube and you're sharing, share this to Facebook. When they ask before you post, hit the tag button, tag every woman you know.
Yes.
Please tag every woman you know. And the reason I say tag every woman is because men are nosy. If we see it on her page, especially if he like her, what is that about? And it is a conversation, especially in the Black and Latino community, because that needs to be had because we are the poster children of having babies.
Yep.
But guess what?
Yes.
All of us don't have babies. I've had 2 people I know for a fact that has been watching or did come in the beginning and watch that can't have children. And they are just as dark as I am. Well, they're a little bit lighter because you can't get no darker than me. But
get back.
But what I'm saying is this is a conversation that needs to be had in our community.
Yep.
In our community, there's a lot of healing
that needs to take place.
That needs to take place. And this is one of those healings that needs to take place.
Right.
So thank you so much, Miss Booker. We so appreciate you here on the Wake Bake Coffee Morning Show.
And we got to have you back.
Stevie Steve, one of our listeners, says, very interesting show. Thank you. And he shared in NYC. Miss Edge, make sure you go back and fill in the blanks. Yeah, we saw you had to leave, but thank you for coming in. Thank y'all, everybody that came in, everybody that will view now, later, years from now, because this is going to be a conversation that continues. We truly, truly appreciate y'all, love y'all, and you got any last words?
I know we'll be back tomorrow. The question is, are we going to do Praise and Worship Friday? It is something that I tomorrow that I might want to discuss. I owe our viewers an apology. So I'm praying on it. Should I do it tomorrow or should I just wait till next Tuesday? But we will be back on tomorrow. Same time, same bat channels. Right here on the Wake Bacon Coffee Morning Show.
Ms. Booker, do you have any last words?
Just thank you guys for giving me the platform to talk about this. And I do hope that people will actually talk about it. That's the big thing. Get the conversations going. The people who have read it, are you talking about it? Don't just read it and keep it to yourself.
Big point. Key point. Key point. Key point. Don't forget to go back and tag yourself in your groups.
Yes,
and I
ma'am.
think that's it for us today. We will see y'all. I guess we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Are we ending on a song or we just closing out?
Yeah, end on the song.
We end on a song.
Yeah.
Pretty sure Miss Mary watching.
Yeah, she in there somewhere.
So we gonna end on her favorite. Here's Bridge Worship with Nothing Else. We'll see y'all tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Wake Bake Coffee.
The listeners say thank you, Miss Booker.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you guys for being there.
All right. See y'all tomorrow.
Caught up in your presence, I just wanna sit here at your feet. Caught up in this holy moment, I never wanna leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I just sang another song. Take me back to where we started. I opened up my heart to you. I'm sorry when I've come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that you're in it. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. Caught up in your presence, oh, I just wanna sit here at your feet. Caught up in this holy moment, I never wanna leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings, no. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else, Jesus. Nothing else. Oh, from the bottom of my heart, I just want you. I open up my heart. I want to love you as at first, God. I just want to bless your heart. I just want to bless your heart, 'cause you're worth it. You're worth it. Oh, back to where we started from, returning to my first love, returning to my first love. 'Cause you're all I want, caught up in your presence. I just wanna